So suppose I have a stick like this and it's tilted over, it's pinned at the bottom, but it can rotate. So the tilt angle is 5 degrees, I let go, and it tips over. And so we want to find the angular acceleration at 5 degrees. And then we're going to change it to a longer stick. And then I'll show you a demo at the end because it's going to be fun. Okay, so I already have here my situation. Here's my stick. It has a length r, and I'm not using L because of angular momentum. And it's tilted at an angle theta. And so we want to find the angular acceleration. What kind of problem is this? Well, I mean, since we're finding the angular acceleration, we should immediately start thinking about the angular momentum principle, or torque and I alpha, right? So let's just go ahead and say the net torque about some point O is equal to the moment of inertia times the angular acceleration. We want to find that angular acceleration. Okay, so if we obviously are rotating about the point here, down here, so that's my point O. We need a couple things. We need the torque and we need the moment of inertia. Well, the moment of inertia is actually pretty easy. The moment of inertia for a stick rotated about one end is 1/3, I just put 2, 1/3 mr squared, right? And again, I'm calling the length r because sometimes we use L for angular momentum. What about the torque? Let's just draw the stick and let's draw all the forces acting on the stick. So here's my stick, and I have the following forces. I have in the middle, I have a gravitational force mg pulling down. That's a center of mass. It's a uniform stick. And then over here, I'm going to have actually an upward pushing normal force. And then in order to, I'm actually going to have a sideways force here. Let's just say it's friction. It could be anything. Let's call this N2. If it's a pin, it could have two different forces. Okay, and that's because, you know, there is a difference between a stick falling over with a stationary base and one where the base can move. And I'll talk about that at the end. So if that's my point right there, I need to calculate the torque. We calculate torque as Fr sine theta. So F is applied force, R is the distance from the force to the point of rotation, and theta is the angle between those. So right away we can see that these two forces are passing right through the point of rotation, so they have an R of 0, and that means they're not going to have any torque. And this is the same thing. If you try to open a door by pushing on the hinge, then that's the point about which it rotates. R is 0. It's not going to open. You could try it. It's not going to open. Okay. So those two exert no torques, which is good because I don't really care about them anyway. But this one does. That one does exert a torque. So the R value for this is the length of half the length of the stick. What about theta? So here's R, and I want theta right there. Okay, that is the same as that angle theta right there. Okay, so I get the following torque equation. Is that a positive or negative torque? Well, if we use clockwise is negative, right? So if you put your hand in the direction that force would want to make it rotate, your thumb points in the direction of the torque. And so it's into the board, so that's negative. Just a quick right-hand rule tip, okay? Because you need some real-life tips. The right-hand rule is what we use for humans for most about everything. If you have something that you're trying to screw in, right? Then if you take your right hand and you turn the direction of your fingers, it will move in the direction of your thumb. So if you turn it this way, it'll move that way. Now there are such things as left-handed threads. Those are different, obviously. Okay, so the net torque is just due to the gravitational force, and that's going to be equal to the force times the distance, which is r over 2, and then sine of theta. And I can now put everything together and solve for alpha. And you may think this is an easy problem, but there's a really cool thing at the end. So I get mg r over 2 sine theta is my torque, negative, and that's going to be equal to the moment of inertia, 1/3 m r squared times the angular acceleration of negative alpha. Again, it's going to rotate this way, so it's going to have a negative value of the angular acceleration, which I don't really care about. So those cancel. Notice the mass cancels. That's kind of cool. The mass of the stick doesn't matter. But notice that r does not cancel. Okay, so let's solve for alpha. I get alpha is going to be equal to g r, no, that r canceled, g sine theta 3, I got to multiply by 3, divided by r. Is that right? 3, that canceled, right. So it's going to be meters per second squared divided by meters is 1 over second squared, so that is correct. So that's my angular acceleration. Now let's just go ahead and put in my values. I gave this as a problem, so I'm going to do it. So it's going to be 3 times 9.8 times sine of, what angle did I give? 5 degrees, divided by 1 meter. Calculator. 9.8 times 5 sine, make sure your calculator's in degrees mode, times, and then divide by 1. So I get an angular acceleration of 2.5 radians per second squared. Yep. Okay. Cool. Now, what would happen if I used a stick that's twice as long? Well, in that case, r would be twice as long, and the only thing that would change in this is 2, so I'd have half the angular acceleration. Now, can we find out how long it takes to hit the ground? No, we cannot. Because you can see this angular acceleration depends on the angle theta. So as theta increases, the torque increases, and so it's a non-linear thing. We can solve that a couple of different ways. We can model it numerically. I'll make another video on that just because it's fun. And so the stick tips over at a non-constant rate, so you can't use your kinematic equations. But the important thing is that because we have this 1 over r term in there, this means the angular acceleration for longer sticks is less than the angular acceleration for smaller sticks. We can use this to our advantage to do a little trick. So here I have a stick. Suppose I want to balance it on my hand like this. So as it tips over, I need to move my hand this way to prevent it from falling over, but I have to be quick, right? So let's just see if I can do this. I'm probably going to drop it. Okay, so it's really hard. This is, what's that, 10 centimeters long, 15 centimeters long. Now, if I make it much longer, it's actually way easier. So here's a 1 meter long stick. I'm going to hold it right here. So you can see my hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the top. Now, because it's so much longer, it takes a lot longer to tip over, so I have a lot longer to move my hand. So I can balance this on my hand like that. Wait, I'm going to do it again. There. So just watch the tip of that, and you can balance it. So longer things, the longer thing that you get, the easier it is to balance. And in fact, if you put a mass up here, you increase the moment of inertia much larger, and it's also easier to keep balance. So that's a little trick for you. Longer sticks are easier. Here's a 2 meter stick. I don't have room to hit that because I'll hit the ceiling, but that's the one that's even easier to balance. Now, I did say one more thing about this. So if you have something that tips over and it's not locked at the bottom, what happens is that because that can slide, then you're actually rotating about the center of mass. So that's a lower moment of inertia. It's 1/12 mr squared. So it's gonna tip over faster. Now, in this case, if it is locked, notice that the center mass is accelerating that way, and that's because of that force right there. That force pushes the center mass and moves it that way. Over here, the center mass accelerates down, and that's because the normal force here is less than the gravitational force. I didn't ask about those things, but that is something to think about, and that's fun to consider. The end.